My grandfather's will made his fortune go to the first grandchild married, but it caused a bitter feud among all of us, who were never going to get married anyway. My grandfather's will stipulated that his entire fortune would go to the first grandchild to get married, but it created a bitter battle among all my cousins. I, 29M, have always been the black sheep of my family, content with my simple life as a carpenter. My grandfather, a notoriously eccentric and wealthy man named Harold, passed away recently, leaving behind a will that was frankly bizarre. Harold, in his infinite wisdom, decided that his entire estate, which includes several properties and a substantial amount of money, would be inherited by the first of his grandchildren to get married. He had 10 grandchildren, all of whom range from 22 to 33 years old, and most have expressed absolutely no intention of getting married anytime soon. This sudden declaration threw my family into utter chaos. Suddenly, cousins who hadn't spoken to each other in years were exchanging forced pleasantries and probing about dating prospects. My younger cousin, Liam, who is usually a shy, reserved artist, has suddenly declared he is speed dating every weekend. My older cousin, Victoria, who is engaged, has decided she isn't happy with her fiancé and has decided to drop the wedding, because according to her, a better option is going to come along eventually if she looks hard enough. My other cousin, Noah, who is openly gay, declared he is going to find the first rich person he can and get married for the money. It's all become a bizarre and uncomfortable spectacle. I've always been a bit of an outsider in my family. While everyone else was pursuing high-profile careers and chasing wealth, I was happily building furniture and restoring old homes. I never got swept up in their drama, but now it's impossible to ignore. Every family gathering, which were once fun, are now dominated by awkward marriage-related conversations and thinly veiled competition. They all try to subtly extract information from me about my relationship status, which I avoid as much as possible. I have a long-term partner, Sarah, 28F, but we've been very clear that we aren't interested in marriage, although we did recently discuss having a baby in a few years. My family knows about her, but they also know about my view on marriage, so they see me as not a threat. My aunt, my father's sister, even made a snide comment at the last family dinner, saying how lucky I am that I have Sarah, because with the state my family is in, I'll be lucky to have anyone ever want me because all the eligible women are focused on money. Now, not character. The whole thing feels like some twisted reality TV show, and I'm just waiting for the next episode of my family to implode. I feel a bit guilty because a part of me wants to get married just to get the money so I can donate a huge chunk of it and get away from all the greed. But I'm also mad that my grandfather put everyone in this situation just for a bit of sick entertainment. I feel bad for my cousins too. I'm not sure how this is going to affect their mental health if they continue this charade. Update 1. The situation has spiraled further out of control, and I'm starting to feel genuine concern for my family's well-being. It's gotten so bad that 2 of my cousins, Jacob and Emily, have announced that they are getting married, seemingly overnight. I had dinner with my dad, and he explained that Jacob confessed that he's been dating Emily for over a year and never told us because he thought everyone would disapprove. Since they know they have to get married in order to get their hands on my grandfather's money, they are in a huge rush to make it happen. They are planning on getting married in 3 weeks, and my family is in disarray. My family seems to think that it's not going to happen because it's way too rushed, and they think that one of them is going to drop the ball and sabotage the entire operation. They are all trying to one-up each other by offering ridiculous amounts of money to their respective sides so that they can try to delay the wedding or even cancel it. They are doing everything in their power to try and win, that at this point they are not even worried about who they might be hurting in the process. My aunt, the one that made fun of me at our last family dinner, called me and offered me $100,000 if I got Sarah pregnant so that I had a legitimate excuse not to attend my cousin's wedding. I laughed so hard at that comment. I am considering it though. I also found out my uncle offered another cousin of mine, named Sophia, $50,000 if she sabotaged her sister Emily's wedding dress. My other cousin, Ryan, has also made a bet with my uncle that if he gets married first, then my uncle will pay him $200,000. At this point, there are money offers everywhere. No one cares about who they hurt or who they step over, as long as they are the ones getting the money in the end. It's like watching a train wreck unfold in slow motion, and I feel powerless to stop it. My own relationship is becoming strained because Sarah has expressed how much she hates my family because of what they did with me. I tried to be the peacemaker between her and them, but now she's starting to view them all in the same light. I also don't know if I am doing a good job at being a good partner to her and am starting to feel lost. Update 2. I'm writing this because something unbelievable happened, and I think I need some advice. I had a conversation with my dad and uncle, and the subject of how I plan to live with Sarah after our baby is born came up. I told them we were renting a very affordable place near the town center and explained to them that we are hoping to make money with our respective side businesses in the next few years so that we can pay for a home of our own. My uncle then asked how much we would need and said that if I agree to marry Sarah, he would pay for the home. I turned down the offer, but he then proceeded to make another offer, which is hard to refuse. He said that if Sarah and I get married, then he would not only get us a home, but also donate a sum of $100,000 to my favorite animal shelter, which is where my mom does her volunteer work. I was taken aback. After discussing with Sarah, we decided that we're going to try to make some deals of our own. Sarah hates my family and isn't very fond of this money war. However, she also thinks that we have to play the game if we're going to win. If my dad's side of the family decides to win, then my mom will not get that $100,000 donation, and she was very excited about that prospect. As a result, she pushed me to join the madness. So I called my cousins and told them that I was going to get married since I have the only real relationship in the family. Jacob, Emily, and Ryan got mad, saying that I was always an outsider in the family. They said I shouldn't interfere with their game since it was never mine to begin with. I told them that it was never their game either, so they shouldn't start being mad at me now. I also said that I wasn't going to sabotage their wedding, but that if someone decides to do so, I'll be ready to counter with a wedding of my own. This caused most of them to go into overdrive in making things right for their side. I also told my uncle and my dad that the only condition for me to agree to their ridiculous money offers is that, from now on, they will leave my family and myself out of their money games. My dad accepted, and my uncle seemed on the fence, but he also agreed. So I did it. Sarah and I went to the courthouse and got legally married. My family is not very happy about it, especially because they did not receive an invitation, but it was enough for my family to understand that I won. I feel guilty that I made it all about me in the end, but I'm also very happy that my family has finally stopped chasing after Harold's money. Now I'm just concerned because what is happening is completely out of my hands and I don't know what my cousins are planning. Update 3. It has only been a few days since Sarah and I got married, and it's been absolute chaos. Jacob and Emily called me, practically screaming at me, saying that I betrayed them and that I will pay for my actions. I calmly stated that they were also going to get married, and they just said that I didn't play by the rules. When I asked them what rules I was breaking, they changed the subject and called me some more names, which I just ignored. My cousin Ryan is refusing to speak to me. I tried to reach out, but he just hung up. Sophia also reached out. She sounded incredibly guilty, but told me that she did sabotage her sister's wedding dress. According to her, my uncle offered a higher payment than the original one. She explained that it was a stupid thing to do, but that she desperately needed the money because she is in a lot of debt. Victoria, the one who dropped her wedding, called to tell me that her fiancé is now with her mom. I asked her why, and she said that her mom has been telling him bad things about her for years. So as soon as Victoria called off her wedding, he immediately looked for her mom for advice and ended up kissing her, and now they are dating. Honestly, my family feels like a badly written soap opera, and I just want to escape. My uncle and dad, however, kept their part of the bargain and not only bought us the house that we wanted, but also donated that sum to the animal shelter my mother works in. All of the money was delivered as promised. The only thing that is making me happy in all of this madness is the fact that my mom has managed to do great things with the animal shelter. She got a big donation so that they can properly treat the animals that are there, and even managed to hire more volunteer workers, which has been a dream of hers for a very long time. My mom has never felt like a mom to me, but seeing her passion project come to life has changed my perspective. I also have Sarah. Even if she hates my family, she loves me, and I think that is what matters the most. I feel bad for Jacob, Emily, Ryan, Sophia, and Victoria. Their lives have probably become even more complicated than it was before, but they were the ones who chose to play a game that is clearly stupid and dangerous. I'm just happy I'm out of it.
My husband created a fake work project so he could travel to different cities and cheat on me with another married woman. He now regrets everything. My husband, Theodore, 34M, and I, Hazel, 32F, have always had a very particular and almost rigid routine. It was just how we operated, and I found it very comforting, and it worked very well for us. We both worked from home. He was a software developer, and I am a graphic designer. Our days were very similar. We woke up, had coffee, worked, made lunch at exactly noon, had a very regimented exercise routine at exactly 5 p.m., cooked dinner, watched TV or a movie, and went to bed by 10 p.m. We had weekends off. Now, I realize it wasn't a normal lifestyle, but it was ours. One day, Theodore got a new assignment at work. It was his first time having to work on something that wasn't just regular maintenance and bug fixes. He was visibly thrilled and even seemed a little excited, which is rare for him. Since this new project demanded more focus, and he had to work with a whole team, he was staying later in his office while I had finished work at my usual time. He had an office upstairs next to our bedroom, so I never heard much noise. The second week of his new project was odd, though. He started to get home later and later every single day and wouldn't come to bed until 2 a.m. When I talked to him about it, he told me he had been dealing with a very difficult part of the project that made him lose all track of time. That seemed reasonable to me, so I didn't pry. After that, he started to miss dinner and our regular exercising routine. He also seemed more tired and more moody. I noticed his work phone blowing up with notifications at all hours of the day and night, and when I would ask who he was texting so late, he would just say it was his team at work and that they were all in different time zones. Honestly, it felt like we were growing distant, but he said he was just stressed. The next week, he left a note telling me he would be leaving early to work on his project at the office because they had a new server and needed him on site. I didn't see him for 2 days, and when he got home, he was barely coherent. I tried to get him to talk to me about his project, and he said that he didn't have much to say and that I would probably not understand anything. I told him I was just trying to show support, and he told me to just be happy he got something that could actually push his career. I went to bed really upset and felt very distant, so I did a little digging into my own server log files to see what he's been working on. It wasn't a large job to be working on for weeks. It was a simple e-commerce site. At the same time, I did see that he did connect to the servers of a very expensive hotel chain with several locations. I didn't say anything, though. The next day, Theodore did the same thing again. He said he was going to the office because the server needed him. When he was asleep, I snuck into his office and pulled his company laptop from his bag and began to investigate. I ended up opening his browser, and right at the top I noticed he was logged into a dating site with another woman's name. I was so shocked. The worst part about this is that I did not recognize the woman, but looking around, I found hotel booking confirmation receipts and saw that they were all the same hotel chains I found on my own logs earlier. They were all different cities. This went on for the whole month. Then it was like a switch flipped. Theodore went back to our rigid routine. He was happy, calm, and it was like nothing ever happened. When I finally brought up what I saw on his laptop, he acted like nothing had happened, denied it, called me a crazy woman, told me to go to therapy, and said I should go touch grass. He also said he was going to go somewhere to chill for the night because I was too much and left. Now, I feel like I'm living in a horror movie. I don't know what to do or how to move on. Update 1. I am now staying at a friend's place. Thank you to all of you who told me not to settle and to not take this lightly. I ended up making an appointment with a lawyer and filed for divorce immediately the next day. I packed my most essential things, and then a couple of non-essential sentimental items, while Theodore was at his made-up office meeting after I served him with the divorce papers. He was so upset, he barely said anything to me, and he grabbed his keys and left to go to his mom's place, but not before letting me know he would be suing me for defamation if I told anyone about the incident. I laughed so hard when he said that. It was probably the only thing that made me happy this week. When I got to my friend's house, I decided to do a little more digging into my server logs. There were no connections from anywhere outside of the house. I thought that was odd since he told me he was working from the office for weeks. When I asked some of the people at his job, they didn't know anything about Theodore going to work, they haven't seen him, or they would have given me a heads up that Theodore was there for work. When I reached out to his manager, he told me that there wasn't a new server and that Theodore had been working from home the entire time. I also went on my own personal email and checked to see if my server had any issues, and it turned out that his connection to the servers had only been during our normal bedtime of 10 p.m. He was going to the hotel from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m., or 2 a.m. if he was working late, and that's when he was logging in, no server-related tasks. It's all adding up now. Everything he said was a lie. The last update for a while. Update 2. I have spent the last month really diving deep into figuring out why Theodore would do this. And in therapy, I came to the conclusion that he was seeking thrill or excitement. He's so used to our rigid routine that the minute he got his project, he probably felt empowered. I now see the signs clear as day. He seemed like he had come to life for that month. I even found several hidden credit card statements for gifts he was buying for her, and the amount of money spent there was shocking. He wasn't just spending the money for a new hobby or something, but he was using all of his salary on that new woman. I feel sick to my stomach, knowing that all that was taken from our savings. Theodore has agreed to a settlement and has signed over almost everything he had to me. He hasn't really asked for anything. It was clear that he didn't want to fight. In all honesty, I thought that he would be fighting me tooth and nail to keep most of it because of his ego. During the divorce process, he seemed to regret what he did, which isn't something I was expecting. I'm getting most of our assets. Theodore's lawyer ended up contacting mine, explaining that Theodore was going through a lot of mental stress due to his actions. He's on some sort of leave, but his work hasn't fired him. I don't have contact with him, and I don't think I want to have any sort of contact with him ever again. I also found out that the woman was also married. She seemed as surprised as me. She has since left her husband and is looking for her own apartment. Apparently, she's in contact with Theodore. I still cannot grasp why he wouldn't just leave me alone. She's also looking into suing him for emotional distress and the expenses she has spent during this ordeal with him, because she's also broke now. In the past month, I've started painting again, something I gave up for Theodore. It feels nice to reclaim myself. I'm so glad that's over.
My wife wrote a romance novel series where the villain is a carbon copy of me. She then lied and told everyone I am this awful person when I called her out on it. I never thought I would find myself in this situation. It all started when I, 35M, discovered my wife, Amelia, 33F, had been secretly writing a very popular romance novel series under the pen name Willow Thorn. That wasn't the problem, though. The problem was that the main male character, a heartless, emotionally unavailable business mogul named Darius Stone, was essentially a hypercritical caricature of me. It started as just a weird thing I found while doing some browsing on her computer. Then I started reading the books. I became angry and confused. She wasn't just taking inspiration. She was straight up taking my actual phrases, the way I would ask her about her day or give advice, and spinning them into these toxic speeches from the villain character. I felt so betrayed. I confronted Amelia about it. Her initial reaction was nervous laughter, which quickly turned into defensiveness. She said she needed an outlet for her frustration and that it was just fiction. She said that Darius was just an extreme version of my personality traits, not a mirror image of me. I told her it was more like a cruel cartoon version, and that everyone she knows now also thinks that's who I am because she uses my exact phrases. It was like she was broadcasting all our private conversations to the world in the most hurtful way possible. I told her, people who know I don't act like this or talk this way now think I am. I don't want to be known as this guy. She said it's a form of creative freedom. She then started to cry and said I was being mean to her. I was invalidating her. I was controlling her. I just wanted her to admit this was wrong. She wouldn't. I'm not sure what to do. I feel like my entire life has been put on display for the world to scrutinize under the guise of creative freedom, as she calls it. What should I do? Update 1. After my initial post, I tried to process everything. I talked to my friend, Jacob, who suggested I get a lawyer since, in his words, this woman is using your personality and stories to make money. The more I thought about it, the more I was sure he was right. However, I still had hoped that we could resolve this in a mature way. I attempted to talk to Amelia again. I started by trying to explain that I wasn't trying to stifle her creativity, but to convey how hurtful and public she was making my private life. I said that her fictional world was directly harming my real life. She completely dismissed me, saying I was being dramatic and that no one would actually think that's what I'm like. I told her how I've heard people in the comments section of her blog talking about it and how people who know us are starting to question me. She claimed people were just speculating. She then said the books are a form of therapy for her and that my feelings were nothing compared to all the emotions she is experiencing. She claimed that it's not easy for a woman to be in her position, which she didn't elaborate on, and that men don't understand. This comment felt so out of pocket since we have shared equally in every aspect of our lives. I told her that she was using her books to make me look like a villain while she plays the victim. Her face became hard and cold when I said that. This is when I decided that communication was pointless and that I would go see a lawyer like Jacob suggested. I called the lawyer this morning, and I have an appointment to go through with this. I am trying to be calm, cool, and collected for now. However, everything she did is making it so hard to stay quiet. I told her that we will both be paying lawyers soon. After I said that, she went dead silent. This isn't the person I fell in love with. I just need someone to validate my feelings. Am I wrong for wanting to protect myself? Update 2. Things have taken a turn for the worse since my last update. After my appointment with the lawyer, I found out about some legal loopholes and stuff she is doing. As I was planning on serving her, she somehow found out that I have an appointment with my lawyer. She then sent me all of the messages she screenshotted from my social media and our private conversation. She included one that's particularly brutal and embarrassing. It was a message I sent to my brother when I was drunk and having a mental breakdown about my struggles. She then wrote a letter addressed to my friends, family, and colleagues, claiming that I am an abusive husband who was trying to steal her work from her. That's just scratching the surface, though. She said that I am the person who I am made out to be in her book. This letter was distributed all over social media, posted on different social media groups and pages, emailed to our common acquaintances, sent to my job with an anonymous email address, as well as physical letters to everyone I knew. The content wasn't just lies about me being an abusive husband, but personal details about my life that I shared with her in confidence over the last 8 years of us being together. Not only that, she used the information to paint me out as an even bigger villain with carefully constructed words that would sound true, as if I had a whole history of being like this that I had successfully hid from the world. This felt like the ultimate betrayal. My work called me to tell me that a lot of parents have emailed and called to express concern. This is my entire career, and she has now jeopardized that as well. Her actions, driven by what seems like a desperate attempt to tarnish my image before I can do the same to her, have escalated this far beyond a simple disagreement. My job had no choice but to place me on leave and start an internal investigation. I feel so lost, isolated, and targeted. I don't know what to do at this point. Update 3. I never expected the situation with Amelia to escalate to this point. Since her letter was sent everywhere, my life has fallen into shambles. My friends, some of my family members, and coworkers now view me through the lens of Darius Stone from her books. The people that know me best started asking me if that was really me. I tried so hard to tell them that it wasn't, but her constant lies, the timing of her statements, and her victimhood made me look more and more guilty by the day. I have become the poster boy for narcissistic men. Everything they feared I would become came true with Amelia's carefully crafted narrative. I've lost my job, and I've been avoiding social media because of the endless hate. I am now in therapy and struggling to navigate the emotional fallout from it all. My brother and Jacob have been my only constants during this awful time. My lawyer has filed a cease and desist letter, and we're working on the best approach to proceed with this. I've learned that Amelia has started making subtle changes to her new books to paint me as even more evil. It feels like a nightmare that I can't wake up from. It's like she is trying to erase my existence in the real world, as if she gets some sick satisfaction out of controlling this narrative. Amelia has successfully turned me into the villain she created while she continues to rake in the money and adoration. I feel like I lost everything, including a part of myself that I might never get back. This is so much more than betrayal. This is psychological warfare. Update 4. It has been several months since my last update, and I can say with some certainty that things have both gotten better and far worse. My legal battle with Amelia is still ongoing, but I have gotten back my job. The internal investigation cleared me of all wrongdoing. I know Amelia was expecting to fully tarnish my career, but it backfired on her. However, the public perception is still heavily influenced by her narrative. I have been unable to resume teaching in the classroom and work on mostly online material now. Though it has not fully returned, there has been an improvement in my mental health now that I have returned to work, seeing my friends and some family members. My lawyer has advised me to stay away from all social media platforms and avoid engaging with Amelia in any way, but we are going to be fighting back soon. I've been focusing on healing, but she's still not making it easy. She has now started a fan club for her villain character. In order to join it, fans have to say that they hate me as a real person and share things about their own relationships and traumas to prove that they are not on my side. Some of her fans have even started harassing me in person, yelling stuff at me while I'm walking home, or sometimes when I'm driving, they'll try to take pictures of me for her. It's all insane. I do think I am starting to heal and have reconnected with all of my family, which I am grateful for. However, this whole situation has left an undeniable mark on my life. All of this just because I called her out on her awful behavior. Update 5. It's been almost a year since I found out about Amelia's books, and my life has been a roller coaster. The legal battle is still ongoing, with Amelia actively trying to prolong it. Her Darius Stone fan base has also gotten worse. I've received threats, had my car vandalized, and even had to move because they keep finding where I live. Despite all this, I am determined to not let Amelia break me. I've been attending therapy, working hard, and focusing on finding joy in my life, which I'm slowly achieving. I even started teaching a small online class for adults to practice for when the dust settles with my original school. She is still updating her books. Her fan base is growing larger, but at the same time, I'm starting to see subtle changes in people's perception of her. Some of her fans are beginning to see through the cracks in her narrative and are starting to question her intentions. Also, some of her friends have also started distancing themselves from her. Amelia is beginning to lose her power. It's a start at least. It looks like her true colors are beginning to show. She has officially overplayed her hand, which has backfired immensely. I don't know what will happen in the future, but I know that I'm stronger than before, and I'm ready for whatever will come. I'm beginning to heal and move on. I've made plans with a new girlfriend, and it's the first time in a while that I don't feel like my life is being completely ruined. It is a great feeling, and I am excited for this new chapter in my life. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. I just hope it doesn't blind me. I'll make sure to keep updating, but in the meantime, I wish everyone the best. Update 6. 2 years since it all began. The case with Amelia is over. My lawyer and I had a small press conference announcing my vindication and publicly asked her to remove the character from her book because the character was directly based on me. The judges agreed with our demands and issued her a court order to remove all instances of the character from the current books and future books as well. Since the order was issued, her publisher and agents have cut all ties. She is now a disgraced author, and some of her fans have publicly apologized to me. A large majority of her fan base has now realized that she was manipulating and using them after they heard about the court case and my side of the story. I am back at school, teaching in person with kids, and things have been great. I am still seeing my girlfriend, Evelyn, and everything has been awesome. My life is slowly going back to normal. Now I can officially say that this has finally come to an end. While what Amelia did will forever change who I am and how I view the world, I have learned so much about myself and the people I surround myself with. Her actions ultimately made me stronger and more independent. I have nothing left but pity for what has become of her. I'm finally at peace. It only took 2 years of being completely and utterly destroyed to get here. I hope no one will have to go through something like this. I am glad to finally be done with this chapter. I am excited for what the future holds.